I'm following the light, so the angle is a little bit different today. Hey Booktube, it's Kim at Middle of the Book March, and today is my bookish week for Sunday, February 2nd. That's right? It's the 2nd today? You, Clara. Is it the 2nd today?
I don't know.
Look on your phone.
I'm doing something. I'm busy.
She's busy. She's probably playing her game.
I am.
So, she is. So, today is my bookish week. I'm going to talk to you about the book that I finished and some other books that I'm currently reading, and I do have an announcement a little bit later in the video, so stick around for that. One book I finished is The Night Ship by Just Kid. I finished this with Doris and Britta, and this is the only Just Kid that I had not read, so I am so happy to check another one off the Just Kid list. She's become a favorite author, so anything she comes out with is now an auto-buy for me. Now, out of the 4 novels of hers that are out there, this is my number 4 in ranking, but that means nothing because all of her books are wonderful. This is no exception, but out of all of the books, here's my ranking. Himself, which is her debut novel and is fantastic. Mr. Flood's Last Resort is number 2. I loved that book. Things in Jars is number 3. Absolutely fabulous characters in that book. If you haven't read that one, pick it up. And if you like magical realism, it's awesome. It's a fun read, really good. And then The Night Ship, this one. This is quite different, a departure from her normal style. There's not a lot of paranormal or supernatural in this book, or even magical realism, which is usually in her books. But this is a dual timeline between 1629 and 1989, so 370 years between the two. And what I expected was not what happened, but what I expected was some familial connections between the centuries, and that wasn't really what it was about. These 2 timelines could easily have been their own novels. So it was kind of 2 novellas in the same book with connections everywhere and with comparisons and contrasts that work together. The 1629 story is about a young girl named Macon who is on a ship's voyage to supposedly meet her father from, gosh, I forget where they started off. And I think they were traveling to the western coast of Australia or Indonesia. That's muddy for me. I don't remember those details. But it was a several months long ship's voyage. And the 1989 storyline is about a young boy named Gil who has lost his mother and is now brought to a remote island, a remote, bleak little island to stay with his grandfather. And the stories have a very loose connection, and there is a lot of symbolism that creates the connections between the 2 children. Both of them are parentless. Both of them are taken care of by either family or other people. There is trauma in both of their life situations. Just Kid often, as well, plays with gender in her novels, and this book is no exception. Macon, the young girl in the 1600s, dresses as a boy on board ship so she could have more access to some ship's adventures. And Gil, our young boy character, also experiments with some other things, and I don't want to get into that because I don't want to spoil any part of that story. The Macon story is very clear pretty early on in the book. So that's kind of the general plot. There's a lot of trauma that happens on the ship in Macon's 1629. And it's pretty early in the book, so it's difficult to read. There's some pretty gross stuff. But the story is based on true history, true Dutch history of a ship called the Batavia, or Batavia. I don't really know how that should be pronounced. So I actually looked up the history of that, and it was fascinating, and it explained so much in the book and helped me have a deeper understanding of this novel. And then in Gil's storyline, there's a lot of character, very deep character development. And that's one thing that Just Kid is an expert at, is writing her characters. These are both told from the point of views of children, which I'm not that crazy about normally, but this book worked. It worked really well. And we read each of their situations. They don't have a lot of chronological growth. They stay at the same age in both of the storylines. And there's very different endings to each of their stories, but they're both written so well. She's such a great writer. I do truly recommend the book. There were a few things that kind of irritated me a little bit in the actions that either of these characters chose to take, and it seemed a little bit out of character, but quite honestly, that was one of the only faults that was an irritation to me. The beginning, probably the first half of the book, it did get a little slow, but she's also extremely good in writing tension and conflict. So the last half of the book, it flew, and it was just, had to know what happened, had to know what's going to happen. So the beginning, the first half was not really super slow. It was not like I was plodding and it was a slog to get through. Absolutely not. But so I highly do recommend this book if you like Chess Kid, if you like those types of story constructions. Definitely pick this one up, and I am dying to know what she's going to come out with next. I know the book is out there, totally forgot what it's called. That's the one book I've finished. So I currently have 4 books on the go. A Crack in the Wall by Claudia Pinheiro, translated by not Frances Riddle. This is translated by, forgot her name all of a sudden, Miranda France. And this is, I believe, the 5th book in the Pinheiro project. We have 2 more. So I'm about halfway through this book. I plan on finishing it this week and have just sent my thoughts to the group. This is the story of a main character called Pedro Sima, and he's an architect in Argentina. And this crack in the wall, major plot point. Major plot point. So we read, he's our protagonist, main character, and we're very much in his head through this novel and very much seeing the events around him from his perspective. So, very good. This buddy read I will be completing also very soon. This is Fire in the City, Savonarola and the Struggle for the Soul of Renaissance Florence by Laura Martins. This book is a very short history of the Friar of Florence, Savonarola, and what happened in the time period in medieval Florence at the time of the downfall of the Medicis and his rise to power. The religion and the church history of medieval Florence, and the phrase the bonfire of the vanities, and how that came to fruition. This book gives me so much clarity on George Eliot's novel Romola, which Joe and I are going to be reading this year, and I would never have picked this up otherwise. I'm admitting this. One of my deep secrets is I never would have picked up this book, but it gives so much clarity to Romola that I am really happy I did. So I'll be finishing that up with Joe this week. And The Frozen River by Ariel Lawhen. This is for my In Real Life book group with the Critical Chicks. This is our book that we will be meeting with on the 7th this month to discuss. And this is also based on a true story of the midwife Martha Ballard. And this is set in 1789 in Maine. I absolutely love books set in New England because that's where I am and where I am from, and really looking forward to getting more into that. I haven't gotten very far yet. And as of February 1st, my splinter group from the Critical Chicks and I have embarked on Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. This particular translation is from Norman Denny, and I chose to read this Penguin Classics version literally because of the weight of the physical book. And I actually compared the translations. I think the other one, the latest Penguin Deluxe edition, is by Caroline Donahue, and compared the translations a little bit. I actually preferred this one, and that other book weighs like 4.5 pounds, and so this is the one I'm choosing to read. I am giving away the other one, the Penguin Classics Deluxe version. I don't think you can see it from here. No, it's in the other bookcase. And to the winner of that giveaway, whose name I won't announce here, I will be shipping that out as soon as possible, and I'm sorry for the delay. But we are reading Les Mis. We're going to be reading this through March. I believe it works out to about 6 chapters a day, and really looking forward to getting into that one. Okay, so now is the time for my announcement, kind of a life announcement. I will be taking a BookTube sabbatical for the month of February, and there's no big catastrophe, no big health reason. There's nothing horrible going on. It's mostly professional, career-related stuff, just a lot of stress. A lot of it is very positive, but there's a lot happening. There's a lot happening financially for me, almost, again, all mostly positive. But it's just been a lot to deal with. So I haven't really taken the time between starting a new job and finishing one job, starting another new job. And so I wanted to work through a lot of the projects I'm already working on for reading projects. And I pretty much just wanted to hunker down, settle in, and try to deal with some life stuff and take a little bit of a breather. I will be lurking. I will be commenting. I will still be reading. I will still be reading in the different groups. I will be taking part in any of the buddy reads I currently have. And then for February, I'm pretty much going to see what I feel like reading and report back in March. That I plan on coming back in March. Maybe through the month of February, I might do a community post, or I might even have a video. I don't know. It depends on how I feel, if I feel moved to create a video, if I have time and the energy to do it. But for now, I plan on taking February off. If you want to chit chat, you can comment in one of my existing videos. I'll be happy to chit chat with you, or if you're on Voxer. And you can also send me a message in Goodreads. And that's about it. Just wanted to give everybody that advance notice so I don't drop off the face of the earth and anybody's wondering. There's nothing horrible happening. Just wanted to let everybody know that. Taking a little bit of time off. Let me know in the comments below what you think about any of the books I showed you, and I will see you all in March. Bye, everybody.